Okay, welcome back to the radio room again. I have the front cover off. It's kind of set off to the side here. Still got some wires that are hooked up. I did have to unhook a couple just to get it to swing around the side, but that's nothing. We can put those back real easily. I've gotten in here and I've taken a look at the input filtering wafer switch. Reminds you that's this one right here. That's the output wafer switch right there. And one thing I forgot to mention in the previous part was that 20 meters wasn't working. It was suspected that it's a burnt contact on the wafer back here. Well, I found something. And I found something that explains why 10 meters is not working. If you look down here at this switch, well, let's look at the schematic. Sorry about the camera going all over the place here. As I've mentioned before, I'm not set up for regular cameras on this workbench, so I'm using the phone. So let's look at the switch here. Let me see if I can find something to keep my finger out of the way. So we have the switch right here. And as I mentioned before, right here is where it comes in, right through here. Got a bit of solder on the end of my pointer here. Get that out of the way. Get this a little more stable spot so I can rest my hand. So right here the input comes in. Now, it was suspected, the owner of the amp suspected, he's not the original owner of the amplifier. He bought it off of somebody. This is a kit from way back that was assembled, so he was under the impression that the 10 meters input filter had never been hooked up. So that made me want to go and check one of two pins. Either pin 2, which goes to 10 meters, or pin 8, which is where it comes. See, like I said, it comes in here, and if you see how this contact runs a narrower part of the rotor, and then there's a wider part of the rotor right here that actually connects to these contacts to select. So when something comes in here, it has to follow around to wherever the tab is for each band. So here's pin 2. If this was rotated around, you can see the arrow here. We're in 80 meters now. If this rotates around this direction, then this tab is going to go through the bands 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10. So either pin 2 is not hooked up to the filter, or pin 8 was not hooked up in order to complete the circuit out of here. If you'll notice, it comes out here, goes through the filter, back up to here, and then this tab right here. See, this is actually does not continue around right here and right here. These are two halves. They're electrically separated from each other. So when this is rotated around to 1, or excuse me, to 2, then this tab right here is around here on 8. So it goes out 2, around through the filter, back in through 10, which this tab would be rotated around to right here, and then straight over to the output of the filters and the wafer board over to the input of the actual amplifier. So on 10 meters, we have either 2 or 8. And I'd forgotten to mention one of the main reasons why the owner brought this amplifier to me was the suspected burnt contacts on the other wafer switch, which I haven't checked yet. But while I'm in here, he said 20 meters did not work. So we're going to check pin 4, and we're going to check pin 10 as well. And this is where things got a little interesting. So I came in here, first off, The inductors on that schematic are these right here. I believe I'd have to look at the manual to be doubly sure. But this one right here should be 80. This one should be 40. This one down in here, let me get some more light in the subject here. This one right here is the 20 meter, 15, and 10. Well, I started looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, let's check pin 2 first. First off, see if you can see this. I'm trying to get this so you guys can really see it. Right back in here, you can see this kind of white right there. Let me see if I can get a better angle on this. I'm getting way up in the radio, or way up in the amplifier here, but you can see that white coming in, and then this is pin 1 right here. So pin 2 is right here. Well, what's this right here? There's nothing hooked up here. That wire is loose, which runs right up to the 10 meter filter coil. So that wire is broke off of pin 2. It was hooked up, it's just broke off, and that is the 10 meter coil. So that's why 10 meters isn't working. If you remember when we look back to the schematic, the RF from the exciter, or the radio that you're using, comes in here, and it has to go through the filter in order to make it back out and make it to the amplifier. So pin 2 is broke off. The RF that's coming in from the radio right here, through here when it's in transmit, up and over into the wafer switch, has to go to the right coil, in this case 10 meters, come down and go through the filter, back over to the wafer switch to be connected to the output of the input filtering system to get to the amplifier. The RF is stopping right there when he's in 10 meters. I'm going to suspect that without all this in here, we probably have a very angry exciter, or the radio he's using. It's seeing a really bad, I mean, you can see here, there is nothing, it's just coax running up here. This is like, as far as the radio concerned, it's hooked up to a very bad antenna that stops right there. So that explains the 10 meters. 20 meters. Suspected burnt contact on the other wafer switch back here. But when I got to looking, I went over to pin 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. This is the 20 meter coil. So I go around here. I'm trying to do this, keep it in focus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. 20 meters isn't hooked up either. The wires broke off. So I'm suspecting that's why 20 meters isn't working. I'm still going to pull that wafer out on the other side. Pull this out. It could stand to use some cleaning. Make sure that we got don't have any oxidation behind some of these ground points and stuff. But I'm suspecting that's the problem. I'll look at that. I'm going to clean this wafer switch up a little bit. I'm not going to be aggressive with it. I'm just going to use some electrical contact cleaner, some quick drying. Maybe a Q-tip or something, kind of scrub it around a little bit. I'm also going to turn the knob and work it back and forth. As you can see, it's got a lot of corrosion on it. That little strip right there is where they all ride, and that's fairly shiny, but look at that. That's all supposed to be nice and bright shiny too. So there could be some oxidation in here. There could be some oxidation on the spring contacts right here that ride on that. So I'm going to clean that off as best I can. Use some quick dry contact cleaner and maybe scrub the rotor a little bit gently with a Q-tip. But mostly going to work it back and forth with some contact cleaner in there, and then probably spray some more on there to help rinse stuff down. But that right there is my guess on why 20 meters isn't working. And this right here is why 10 meters isn't working. So I'll have to strip this back a little bit. I'll clean a lot of this solder off of these contacts and put fresh solder on there, and hopefully we'll be back in business operating. So let me get to doing that a little bit, and we'll be back hopefully here in a little bit, and we'll probably get that pulled out, and I'll show you what it looks like. But I'm pretty sure that's why this puppy isn't working, and I'll probably check some of these other contacts as well. I might actually have to remove this a little bit to get it out. Might have to unsolder some stuff up here, but it would be really great if I could pull this whole piece out and check it out. Make sure, as you can see here, there's things in the way of getting down into here. The funny part about the whole deal is, when you put this kit together, I looked at the manual and the assembly instructions. This is literally the first thing you put together in this whole amplifier. Everything else in the amplifier, everything else comes after this. And I can understand why this was done first. When you're putting it together, you didn't have anything else in the way. You actually built this little spot here, and then built everything else around it. So I might have to pull, well, I'd like to try and pull this out. Hopefully I'm going to take a look, see if I can pull this whole portion out, and then pull this all out as a unit, this whole section right here, lay it on the desk, get it over onto the other bench, and be able to work on this a little bit better. We'll see. Either way, we're going to get it hooked back up. Now, I want to check some of these other wires, make sure they're not real weak, just barely touching. Maybe touch up some solder on them. So, bye for now. See you in a bit.